Okay, so in today's video I've got this book. It's 365 days of art, so it's a different art prompt for every day of the year. So this is actually going to be the start of a new series. I'm going to do one a week. I'm going to upload it hopefully every Sunday, so every 7th day I'm going to upload a video on this. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see that. I'll also have a video coming up in the middle of the week as well, whether that be more artwork, Lego, whatever. I've got a ton of stuff pre-recorded and coming up, so definitely make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of that. But without further ado, let's get into the first week of this book. Okay, so first of all I'm just kind of going through the book, just having a quick look about, you know, what it says, the different prompts that they've got inside. So I noticed at the beginning there was actually a tracker, so that you can track each page that you've done, and from looking through I can definitely see that this is probably supposed to be done in order, but I decided that that's not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of pick one each day, whichever one takes my fancy really, because I don't really think it's very helpful to kind of be forced into doing some artwork that you don't really want to do. So I'm going to go through and pick one each day. So the first one I chose was draw lots of eyes. So I first of all started sketching some out, just kind of some different styles. I went for some animal eyes like cat eyes, lizard eyes. I just went for some normal eyes as well as some like cartoony looking eyes. So I started sketching a bunch out. But I ended up actually just going in with the I use like fine liner pens. I ended up actually just going in with them so that I could actually see what it was going to end up looking like. That actually made it a lot easier to kind of visualize. So yeah, I did a lot of that. I did it kind of section by section, just so that I could outline and add some details in, just so that it was a little bit more obvious what each section was going to look like. So yeah, that made it a lot easier as I was going through. So my thought process behind this was like eyes peering through the darkness. Obviously I've not drawn them in pairs. I mean there are a couple pairs there, but a lot of them are just like singular eyes. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process, kind of my idea for this, hence why the background of them is all black and why I kept pretty much all of it very black and white, very monochrome. That was my idea behind that. And I did a lot of, you could probably see in like the big eye, I did a lot of like mark making, so like scribbles, stippling. I don't think I did any like hatching or anything, but most of the details is all like mark making, which I thought would look effective rather than, you know, just shading and stuff. I thought it would look a lot more effective, and just give it a little bit more texture and just something a little bit extra to look at rather than, you know, just a black and white drawing basically. So yeah, that was kind of my thought process behind this. So I have skipped through this quite a lot because there was so much to do on this. I actually, when I first started it, I thought, oh, this one won't take too long, but it actually became so tedious and took me so long. I think all in all this took me maybe 3 hours to do, I think, maybe a little bit longer. So yeah, there was a lot of footage to speed up and crop out. But I just kind of skipped through quite a lot of it because, like I said, it became quite tedious for me doing it. So I'm sure watching me do it would also become a bit tedious. But yeah, I just thought this would look really effective, and I actually do really like the finished result. Definitely let me know what you think about this one in the comments. I wasn't too sure when I got about halfway through. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna hate it. But in the end, I do quite like it overall. Okay, so there we go. There is the finished artwork for that one. So the next one I did was sort of like a practice like art skills page, and this was just a ton of different techniques techniques, mark making techniques. It says to, you know, choose different sized pens for this. So I think the range I had was 0.1 to 0.8 possibly. I did have I think a couple a bit bigger than that and a couple a bit smaller, but I chose not to use them for this. But I just made tons of little marks and patterns all over and just changing in between the pens. And it's just quite a good technique or activity to kind of get you thinking about different marks that you could make to, you know, shade or create texture. And it just, I mean, this page is something that you can refer back to and have a look through when you're deciding how to shade or, you know, add something a little bit extra to your artwork. So I do definitely like these pages being in here. There are a few of them, as you will obviously see as we go through the book. But yeah, this was the first one that I did. So I just created a range of scribbles, lines, hatching, cross hatching, stippling, smaller scribbles like longer waves. Yeah, as you can obviously see, there's loads of different techniques and stuff on there. I did some circles like right up close to each other. Yeah, and I was just kind of coming up with some different ideas the further down the page I got. So yeah, like I said, this is quite a good like reference page to come back to for a little bit of like inspiration if you don't really know what to put into your artwork. So yeah, I actually did quite enjoy. Okay, so this next one is very similar to the previous one. You had to either colour these circles in or create patterns or marks or whatever you kind of wanted. But I was actually really enjoying using my fine liners at this point. So I decided to keep with the black and white fine liner look. And I went and did some mark making, some patterns, and I just kind of used each gap rather than each circle, but each gap to add in a different pattern. And I just thought this would create quite a collective, or what's the word I'm thinking of? Collage of different patterns and thicknesses of pen. And yeah, obviously some are going to be more bold than others, so I just use this as a bit of an experiment with patterns and again thicknesses of pens as well. Overall I really like this one as well. Obviously I was kind of using the pens again as I just done like a mark making exercise, so I just wanted to kind of carry on with that. But obviously it does say in the prompt at the top that you can colour it as well, and obviously I kept this all black and white, and afterwards I did kind of think, oh, maybe it would have come out a little bit better or a little bit more interesting if I'd used colour, but obviously I opted for different marks and different patterns instead of colour. I mean, obviously I could have used both, but I used that instead of. But yeah, overall I do still really like it. I just wonder if maybe it would have come out a little bit more interesting if I'd used colour. But yeah, as I said, I do really like this one, and it was one that I could kind of do without really thinking about it. I just kind of, you know, thought what would look good and just did it basically. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. So the next one that I did was actually quite a simple one. I think it literally took me like 10 minutes, not even, but I just had to add little smiley faces to all of these stars. So there was 3 already completed which all had the same smiley face, so I just added a little bit of a variant. I don't know if you can really see, but I just added a little bit of a variation. So some of them have just got basic smiley faces, some of them have got their tongue sticking out, some of them have got like little like dimple type things, some of them are like really happy, like they're smiling with like their teeth out. So yeah, I literally just had to draw faces on all of these stars, which was a really nice one to do. It was just really quick and easy, and it was a really relaxing one. So the next one that I did was adding a bunch of stripes to those bees. So they already had their wings, they just needed a little eye and then a bunch of stripes. So I used this one again to experiment with some mark making, different thicknesses of the lines. I tried to do each one kind of different to ones before. I mean, there are a couple that are very similar, all the same, but I tried to use as many different techniques as I possibly could to complete all of the bees, and I love them. I think they look really cute. So yeah, that was this one, just loads and loads of bees. So again, overall I really like the bees and I really liked this little prompt. It was actually really fun to do, and yeah, they came out really cute, and again it didn't really take that long to do. So the next one I did was a swatch page. So just basically just says fill it full of swatches. So I went for a pack of pens that I'll probably use in this book and my watercolours that I'll use. The pens I'm actually going to do a separate review on because I literally bought them from B&M, so I'm going to do a full in-depth sort of review on them, just to kind of let you guys know my feelings on them, how I feel they perform, that sort of thing. And I'm going to create some art with them. And then the watercolours that I used were just my Winsor & Newton colours. As you probably saw a few seconds ago, as I started putting the markers down, they bled through onto the other page, so I just grabbed an envelope from a free print delivery because it was just handy and next to me, just to put underneath so they only bled onto one side rather than through to both of them. But what I'm going to do is when I come to doing the art on the previous page, I'm just going to stick, you know, like another bit of paper over the top so that I can still do that. I'll just do it on a separate bit of paper and then just transfer it over. But luckily the watercolours didn't really do this, so that was definitely very lucky because I'm probably going to use watercolours in this book more than I will those pens, but it was definitely a good test before I did a whole artwork and then realised afterwards that it had completely bled through. So yeah, that's just one note to kind of make. It says in the front of this book that you can use markers and brush markers, that sort of thing, which is exactly what those are, but obviously it bled through, so that is one thing to bear in mind. Obviously the quality of the paper can't really, or the thickness I should say, can't really hold that sort of thing, which is a shame really, because obviously you should really be able to use whatever sort of medium you want, especially when it says in the front about using them. But anyway, the next one I then went on to was this one, which was just filling the page with colourful stripes. So again, I used my Winsor & Newton watercolours for this. I just mixed up a bunch of different colours and then just created stripes down the page. So some of them are just like the normal colours that come in the palette, and then some of them I mixed up as well, just to create a different variation in the colours that we used. And yeah, just carried on the stripes down the page. And I really enjoyed this one. This one was actually quite fun, and again didn't really take that long. So I like the fact that obviously you've got options. If one day you don't have a couple hours to sit down and spend on an artwork, you've got these ones which you can do a lot quicker. I think this one literally took me like 15 minutes maybe, and yeah, it's really effective and actually does, in my opinion, look quite cool at the end. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this one as well. So this one completes all 7 that I did this week. So definitely let me know what you think of what we've done this week, and make sure to subscribe and like and hang around for the following weeks. Obviously I'm literally going to be uploading this every week for the rest of the year, and yeah, as you can see here, the final thing I did was just go through and mark off the tracker which ones I have completed. So yeah, that was everything for this week. So that was the first week of this book. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and come back next week for part 2. But other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.